Welcome to the BombCast once again. We are so excited to have our guest, Mr. Jeff Crampton, with us today. Jeff is a real estate agent serving clients in Las Vegas, Nevada, a big video user, a big Bom Bom supporter, and we are so glad to have him here today. So welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Alicia. Good morning.
So let's just start off by getting to know you a little bit. Tell me just a little bit about your real estate background, how long you've been doing it, and what you love about what you're doing there in Las Vegas.
Okay, so my real estate background started with being in the mortgage business for almost 15 years here in town, at which point I thought most realtors that I dealt with were goofballs. I actually never wanted to be a realtor. I could count on one hand the realtors that I thought were on the ball, and the rest of them were just kind of wandering aimlessly for the most part. But I got a real estate license. I'm in my 9th year now. I lost a bet, and that's how I ended up doing this. And I have found...
Wait a second. You can't just leave us with, I lost a bet, and that's how I ended up doing this. So you're going to have to fill us in on that.
Well, actually, a client of mine, a realtor, one of the few realtors that I respected, had given me a call after I'd been out of the mortgage business for about a year or so. He said, "What are you doing?" And at the time I was rehabbing a home. And they said, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm going to go drive NASCAR or something." And he said, "Why don't you go get a real estate license?" He was a big REO guy here in town. And he had about 100 signs in the ground and about another 100 homes in the process of going on the market. And he said, "I've got 5 buyer's agents and none of them will return a phone call." So as his lender for many years, not only did I return phone calls, but I was detail oriented. And he said, "Just until you decide what you're going to do, go get a real estate license." So I did that. And after about 3.5 years, I thought, I'm really not enjoying being in real estate. And I was thinking about going and doing something else. And somebody had asked me about a program called Homes for Heroes. So that introduced me to a version of real estate. I figured out that there was multiple versions of being in real estate instead of just wandering around. And I got pretty focused on a particular group of clients, local heroes. And I did that for about 3.5 years until they changed the program, bless their hearts, but they made all kinds of changes in it. And so I stopped doing that a little over 2.5 years ago, I guess, but have learned so much. In the Homes for Heroes was something I kind of built a brand around. And I realized I was going to have to come up with something new. And I knew it needed to involve social media and video, and that's how I got introduced to Bom Bom.
Awesome. See, you're jumping ahead. You're leading.
Sorry.
No, you're perfect. I love it. Okay, so I guess let's just jump in there then. What was it about Bom Bom that drew you in? Were you doing any video yet in your business before you came upon Bom Bom?
I'm embarrassed to say that the video that I was doing and breaking my arm, patting myself on the back over it, was promo videos. Okay. So I don't know if you're familiar with promo, probably, which is a fun little video for dummies kind of thing. I mean, it's got its applications, but I thought that's what video was. And somebody had talked to me about Bom Bom, and I had signed up for it. I'd had this subscription for about a year, and honestly, I hardly had used it. Mm-hmm. And so it was time to either resubscribe or pull the plug. That was the conversation that I was having with myself about, should I do this or should I not do this? And I came across an interview on Bom Bom with, you were interviewing Craig Veroni. Mm. So I was fascinated by what he had to say. He had been doing video for about 9 months. He talked about how it had changed his business, how he was enjoying it more, how he had increased business, had better communication with clients. And I'd been sitting on Bom Bom for a year and not using it. Mm-hmm. So I watched the video with him, and then I stalked him. I Googled him. I found him. And he very, very generously spent about 45 minutes on the phone with me explaining, walking through how he used it, how many applications there were for it. And at one point we reached a point in the conversation where he finally said, listen, there's nothing more that I can tell you because you don't know what you don't know. So what you need to do now is go to boot camp, video boot camp. And that was with Michael Thorne and Jesse Peters. And fortunately for me, they had one about 30 or 45 days from the time I had that conversation with Craig. Wow. And I signed up and I went, and I was stunned. I had no idea that video could be or was. I was just ignorant as to you know, what it was. So I went to boot camp. That was May of 18. I came back and I opened up Bom Bom again, and I thought, okay, this is something that I really need to embrace and implement, and I have.
I love that. Don't we have such an incredible community of users? It's one of the best parts about my job, because it's one thing, it's one thing to have, us employees all believing in it and being such big, supporters and proponents and evangelists. But one of the best parts of my job is how many customers we have that are evangelizing for us. It's this like symbiotic thing. I love the fact that you reached out to Craig and that he spent time with you, because it's so indicative of this community.
Well, it is. And actually it's a little bit your fault, not you specifically, although you a little bit, that I am now a Keller Williams agent. Because right after I got back from video boot camp, I had been, somebody who is now a friend of mine had talked to me about Keller Williams, and I never wanted to be a Keller Williams agent either. Now I'm so glad I am. But he invited me to go to a mega camp, and I found out that Bom Bom was going to have a booth there. And that is the only reason I went down to the mega camp in Austin and got to speak to a couple of you. You were one of the people that I met. And learned a lot of things about Bom Bom and things that were coming up, which was my sole, honestly, that was my sole purpose for going to that mega camp. So learned a lot about Bom Bom there. That would have been, I want to say it was July last year, maybe. I don't know if you recall exactly.
It would have been August. Last year. Yep.
Soon after I came back so I went in May to the boot camp, came back, messed around with Bom Bom a little bit, and then went to the boot camp. While I was there, I actually heard Gary Keller talk about the fourth industrial revolution and interruption, and thought, holy smokes, I need to take a closer look at Keller Williams, which I did, and made that move here last April. But I learned so much about Bom Bom as a tool, and you guys as a company. And I got to tell you, not just because we're having this conversation now, I've said this many times, what you guys do is phenomenal. And having gone to the Rehumanize event that you had was just incredible, not only because of the 500 people in the room who all did video, so no time was wasted on should you or shouldn't you, or here are the top 10 reasons you should.
Yep. But
as a company, learning about the history behind Bom Bom, and it made so much sense because of all the interactions I've had with your customer support people. They have a genuine, not just I'm paid for it and I get a bonus if I do, but they had a genuine interest in making sure that whatever my issue was when I was on the phone with them got resolved. And I felt very, very supported with you guys as a company. So I'm very impressed, and I'm very honored to be having this conversation with you right now.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Jeff. I really, I'm kind of the evangelist, and it really it lights me up to know that you're having that experience across the board. We take our customers' experience very, very seriously. So I want to circle back to something you had said there, which was that you were a customer but not really using it for almost a year, which is one of the things that I have people come up to me and tell me all the time on the road. So So what was it that was keeping you from jumping in? Was it fear of being on camera? Was it just not sure what videos you should be using? Was it overwhelming? What was the holdup for you?
You know, it was really all of the above. It was not so much fear of being on camera as much as familiarity with not being on camera and getting used to, you know, the way I sound and the way I look and the stupid expressions that I have. And you know, it's like walking around the mirror in front of you and thinking, oh my gosh, is this what people see? You know, and is this what people hear all the time? And so it was that Bom Bom, as good as the tutorials were, they didn't land on me. Yeah, I went through them and I tried the, you know, send this to your friend and send this to a client and try this introduction one and say hello. And I went through all of those and I just felt that I was going through the motions, but I wasn't engaging with it.
Yep.
And so, and you know, along with that, there's being busy and
Yep.
I thought this was going to be a thing that I would set a month aside and start it and finish it and be it and do it and have it. And that's not what video is at all. I mean, it's a ever, you know, forever journey.
Yep.
Once you start and once you really get involved with it, you get to one point and then realize, oh my gosh, there's, you know, a million more miles to go. And then there's a million more miles to go after that. But the biggest thing I think for me was really understanding what Bom Bom was as a tool and not fully appreciating what the applications were. And so that took a while for me to get. So it was learning what this process was about. It was learning about communicating. It was like going back to school for a degree in something else. You know, a whole new skill set, a whole new knowledge base. I had to be in a learning mode because now I learn things every day. And now I'm on the lookout for, oh my gosh, that was a really cool video. How did he or she do that? I want to do that too. And now it's fun and exciting. And I'm so glad that I didn't make probably the biggest mistake of I don't even know, honestly, if I'd still be in real estate if I had not grasped video and realized what Bom Bom could be.
Wow, that's a glowing endorsement. Thank you for that. Okay, so you talk to Craig, you go to video boot camp. We meet at Mega Camp. In fact, I think you flagged me down on my way to the bathroom, I believe. But I was wearing my Bom Bom shirt. So you go to Mega Camp, you talk to us there, you learn a little bit more. So let's get into the more practical side of what you're actually doing now. So what kind of video are you doing right now? What's the primary use case that you are using with video?
Okay, so the primary use case that I have for video, and it's funny because at Rehumanize, I sat in the row in front of Karen Carr. So my primary use has changed just since May with exploring YouTube and doing explainer videos, which are really can be very, very boring and they're not what I like to think of for video, but they have a lot of impact on people and they can drive leads. And I've never done lead generation because I've had people who have called me and referrals and that kind of thing. So I'm doing a lot of that. I'm learning a lot about thumbnails and posting and everything that goes along with YouTube channels, now Pinterest as well. But from a standpoint in my business with Bom Bom specifically in video, I realized a while ago that if I put a house on the MLS, and I wasn't really a listing agent, so some of this has evolved as I've evolved as an agent. I do about 60% listings now. And so previous to that, it was all buyer stuff, and I didn't have a understanding of how I could use this as a listing tool. And so I started doing listing videos, and it occurred to me that I'm going to put a home on the MLS, and there's a 99% probability that another agent working with a client who is looking for a home like the one that I've listed is how that home is going to get purchased. So as long as that's a a valid premise, it seemed to make sense to me to really proactively market to those agents. And we have a mechanism in our MLS called reverse prospecting. And that allows me to see how many searches are being pulled that my listing is a result in, right? Okay. So I get a whole list of agents, I get their names, I get their contact information, I get a reference number for their client, the day that they've pulled the search. So now I take this video, I put it into a Bom Bom template that I've made up, and I proactively send these things out to market my listing to the agents who are working with clients right now, who are looking for a house like this one. And it's been fairly successful. In fact, I've actually sold 2 homes, having done this for 9 months. I've sold 2 homes that the clients never saw until after closing. They only saw the video. And the cool thing about that is, especially with Bom Bom, is the tracking. So I could see they were opening this thing 20 times. And, you know, it was kind of peeking at their cards, knowing what their interest level was. And ironically, as we speak, I just got an offer accepted on a listing yesterday. In fact, they're doing the inspection tonight. And the agent specifically contacted me and said, I love this email that you sent me with this information. May I show it to my client? And, you know, sure. Go ahead, like, if you must.
That's the point.
Yeah, show it to your client. And so that has progressed into a pretty detailed version of that email. And this comes in now with learning what Bom Bom is as a tool, and having an application for it, and figuring out how to build that. So I've learned how to compose in your composer in a way that's kind of outside of Bom Bom. I use a desktop publishing to create pictures that I then put in, because it gives me more flexibility with what the look and the fonts and all that is going to be. But also the links. The links that I put on the bottom of these videos that I send out, the first one is a link back to the MLS and the details of the property. The second one is a static feature sheet of the features of the home. The third one is a financing sheet with estimates from my broker. The fourth one is utility. So I'll ask my sellers, give me 12 months worth of utility bills, and I'll put the utility information on there. And the last one is, so I've got 5 across the bottom. The last one is all of the public schools that this property is zoned for. So the idea is I give enough information to that agent so that they look like they've done hours of homework when they go show this house. They can walk through and look at the form that I've linked in there and say, oh my gosh, you know, that water heater is just a year old. And these appliances in the kitchen are such and such. And there's ceiling fans all through that. They speak as if they know about it because I've supplied them with that information. Then if the client says, gosh, I like this house, what would it cost me? They just hit the financing information. They can see down payments. They can see estimated payments. All of that information's on there. And that has been something that has really gotten a lot of attention. Now, when I send these things out, I copy the sellers. So the seller sees I'm working for them. And that becomes now circling around, becomes part of the listing presentation. I'm going to do some things to market to the realtors who are working with buyers right now who are looking for a house like yours that most agents don't do. And then here's the evidence of that when they get 10 to 15 different copied on emails that I'm sending out to these agents. So that's the primary use. If you were to go through and look at my emails that get sent, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands at this point of them are marketing back to the agents. Then there's, and I'm blathering on here. So
I want to pause you there for a second, just to kind of touch on some of those things there. First off, what you're doing with the links is awesome. I haven't heard of anyone doing that specifically. And then you're also getting that, you know, the benefit of the link tracking, because you know by email address which of those agents are actually clicking on those links and utilizing that, which is really, really powerful intel for you to have at your fingertips.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's great feedback for the client. Whether the realtor gives me feedback or not, I have the feedback.
Yep. Yep. One of the things that I always try and help people when I'm teaching understand the difference between what Bom Bom is and your Facebook, YouTube, website videos is that I always say, those are important pieces of your marketing. Putting your listing videos, out on social media is really important. However, what Bom Bom is giving you is that it's giving you the benefit of delivering it directly to the people that you want to see it, as opposed to just, throwing it out there in the wild. So I love that you're leveraging that direct to the people that you want to see it. Really, really sharp use of that tool.
Well, it's perfect for that. That's the reverse prospecting. So I'll take that listing video. Reverse prospecting is one. I'll do a thank you for showing the property, which is essentially the same format, except the verbiage is a little different. I'll do a confirmation of appointment to show.
Yep.
I'll do a video where, I'll do an application of it where I will, when I take the listing, I'll pull a search of all the agents who have sold a home in that neighborhood over the last 2 years. And I'll send it to them and say, listen, the reason you're getting this is because you've sold a home, you've had some success in this neighborhood. I figure you might be very familiar with it. I've now taken a listing here. You may be working with somebody who would be perfect for this house, or the house would be perfect for them. And there really isn't any end to how this can be applied. And that's just 5 versions of essentially the same template and the same listing video that makes an impact, and it helps my business quite a bit. I'm selling houses, I'm scheduling showings, and I know it's a result of, and I'm proving to my seller I'm working for them, and that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of touched on this a little bit throughout the things you've been talking about, but specifically, what challenges in your real estate business do you feel like video is solving? Because you said that you don't even know if you would still be doing real estate if you hadn't discovered this. So what challenges has video shifted for you in your business?
That is a very, very pointed tip of the iceberg question that the answer is the rest of the iceberg. So challenges in my business that I have figured out because of using video. One of them is branding. And I don't mean, pictures and names on business card brandings. I mean archetype test branding and discovering, who I as a business am inclined to work with, and then be able to focus on them. Then to make my messages and my brand voice and my brand promise all congruent with that. And that's all then delivered through video. So I knew nothing about branding before I got involved with video. My videos were kind of all over the board and, like a shotgun approach, no niche marketing really whatsoever. But video, that was one of the benefits of being involved with video, was learning who it is I really wanted to be and who I wanted to focus on, who I wanted to benefit the most, not exclusively, but primarily. So I got to say, all things flow from branding, which I only found out about because of being involved with video.
I love that. Well, and we see it with the rise of video on social media and like Instagram influencers, how video is really shifting the conversation about branding from that, like the pictures and the graphics on your website versus to who you are as a human, and being able to rehumanize, right? Like really being able to rehumanize your business and for, especially for real estate agents, like regardless of what, graphics you've had a designer, build for you, even before the advent of video, or before, video became so prominent, you still are your brand. And video is just giving you the ability to get that out there, to really show your clients, to show your potential clients, to show other real estate agents who you are as a brand in that really human way. A graphic on a website is never going to represent who you are as a brand in the same way that you speaking directly is going to.
Right. Yeah. Everything you just said, what she said.
So I really appreciate your time. We're going to start to wrap it up here. We try and keep these, a little bit tighter so that people can consume them in one go. But I'd love to hear, what's something that you wish you knew about Bom Bom? I know there's probably a lot, but what's one thing that you wish you knew about Bom Bom earlier on in your journey that you know now?
Well, I wished I had known how important it was going to be in my business. Again, it was a thing. It was a program that I bought. I didn't understand the application or the impact that it could have had. If I had known from jump that this would enhance my business, make it so I was attracting clients instead of chasing clients, that it was going to help me be focused on what kind of agents I wanted to be. If I had known all of that kind of stuff when I started, and I just heard from Craig, what I heard from Craig is what I could hear at that point, if that makes sense to you. Based on what I knew when he was talking to me, all I heard was, this will be good for your business. So I thought, okay, great, sign me up, because I want good for my business. But I had no real idea. And that's probably what he meant when he said, we have to stop talking now because you don't know what you don't know. And you've got to just learn and experience a few things. If I could have known how important and how it was going to enable me to be more in control of the direction of my business, that would have been it. If I could have comprehended that, and I don't know if I could have without a year's worth of experience doing it, but that would be the thing. How important Bom Bom is going to be. What a great tool it's going to be for me to be skillful with.
I love that. What you said there is that, video gave you the opportunity to start attracting clients instead of chasing them, which is really, that right there is, I'm sure we will use it as a soundbite, but I wish that, that all of our clients could really understand that the video giving you the ability to show who you are and to show what you represent and how that's going to help you attract people rather than trying to chase them to get them to want to have the conversation. Thank you. That's powerful stuff there.
Well, everybody's involved in the chase, which means you've got to run harder or faster or longer or buy better shoes or whatever if you're going to do it that way. If you understand that video, first of all, so few agents use it, which is just crazy to me. Here in Las Vegas, we've got about 18,500 and change licensees. There's maybe 2,000 that do 95% of the business. And there's less than a couple of percent of the 2,000, let alone the 18,000, that actually do video at a consistent and proficient basis. So it's the fastest, easiest, bestest way to differentiate yourself from the door hangers and the fire kids. The newsletter, printed newsletter, here's the homes that you've sold in your neighborhood, folks who really think that they're marketing, and they're not. They're wasting paper and time.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Just as kind of a recap here, Jeff is doing a lot of education on YouTube, which is a great way to attract clients and not just chase them. And then that strategy of reverse prospecting and sending out the listings with the videos, with the links, the explainer sheet directly to the agents that are working with buyers. I absolutely love it. I always learn new strategies, and I learned something today. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate having you as a customer and as a fan.
Well, I appreciate what it is that you guys do very, very much. I'm a big fan.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next BombCast.
Thanks for tuning into the BombCast today. Head to bombom.com/bombcast to access past episodes, get info on future episodes, and subscribe to our BombCast newsletter.